When I think about fear or doing hard things that give me the feeling of fear, I naturally think of things like fear of failing, fear of speaking in public, fear of rejection, fear of making the wrong decision, other people's opinions, even responsibility. And all of these things, if you think about it, are like social, are like social challenges. And, it may seem a little unimportant. And I think people are very isolated from like the real world and from actual social interactions, that people in some way, like the average modern person who's staying at home all day in social media, scrolling on Reddit or 4chan. And I think this type of people are so disconnected from everyday social challenges that they don't train themselves to even feel the fear anymore. Because feeling fear, having this feeling of fear and being afraid in your body, in your like nervous system, we may think is a bad thing. We may think, oh, I'm afraid, so I don't want to do this because I'm afraid. But listen, if you clicked on this video expecting me to actually tell you, hey, here's how to never feel fear anymore, you'd be wrong. You're actually looking at this the wrong way, because we shouldn't get rid of fear. We should face it. And I know it sounds generic as fuck. Oh, you should face your fears and be brave. It's about using fear as a tool for growing and improving ourselves, especially if you're a man. This is very interesting. Having high levels of testosterone and this is a bit of an answer, I guess, but having high levels of testosterone in men makes social challenges easier that otherwise you would be afraid of those. For example, speaking in public, approaching a stranger and starting a conversation with like a girl or someone at the gym or someone you want to meet. These type of things kind of take balls. When you think of something that takes balls, that is worth it. Of course, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna throw myself off a building. That takes balls. Yeah, but you're not really gaining anything from it. For example, a few months ago, I was sitting in this very fancy restaurant. I was by myself, and I saw the owner of the restaurant. So it was very early. It was, I think, in the morning. So it was kind of empty, and the owner was there. He was like there talking to some people or something. And I really wanted to get up from my table and like talk to him. I wanted to ask him some questions about business or like productivity or something. Like a lesson that a rich man. That the guy was pretty old and he seemed like the guy had experience, and I was like, fuck me, man, what if I had a pair of balls and I stood up and asked him a question, like, because I would be risking like a heavy fucking rejection, right? Because the guy was talking through his phone. He was talking to an employee or something, or a client, and the guy was furious. He was like a little pissed off. And he was saying stuff that I kind of liked. He was saying, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was very basic. I wanted to get advice from that man. But I didn't do it because I didn't have a pair of balls. If I had that experience today, I would probably do it. Like, I'd be more likely to do it because this is something you can actually train yourself. Not to feel less fear, but to be comfortable feeling the fear, right? So you never really stop feeling the fear. Again, if you were expecting me to tell you, yeah, here's how to do this and you'll never be scared again. First of all, the only feasible way you will never be afraid, like, there's a quote that I really like. The only thing that we should fear is fear itself. Because if right now, especially, you're living a particularly miserable life and you feel like you have achieved nothing, you feel like, you're kind of ashamed of yourself because you haven't made any progress in life, this is why. It's like, I'm 100% sure the reason is because you have been running away from your fears, because you're always looking for the easy solution. Especially in the age of social media, we're always looking for the easy and fast everything. The easy and fast dopamine, the easy and fast solution. So we scroll on Instagram all day. We expect to learn something in under 20 seconds. We expect to, get rich instantly whenever we start an online business or something. And it's pretty fucked up because this is really making us like kind of give up in life and create unrealistic expectations for the things that actually take very delayed gratification. So if you want to master a skill, if you want to develop yourself in something that takes time, well, you're not going to be able to do it because you're playing video games all day, you're scrolling all day, you're doing whatever bullshit. And what's going to happen is that your brain is telling you, hey, I am used to getting the rewards instantly, and now you're making me do something that takes time. You're going to feel miserable, of course you are. So all of this to say that the things that you are avoiding, only you know what things you are avoiding, right? That you physically can do, but you are afraid. Those are the things that you'd be doing the most. And those are the things that once you do them, you will be so, like, it is insane. Just by pushing through that fear, your life will improve at least 50% just by doing those things. Just by doing those things, nothing else. So right here I have a list of like common fears that I kind of thought about, and I'm gonna break them down. And again, most of these fears that we have are going to be like socially, you know, we have like we fear social challenges because I don't know, fucking trauma, I guess. And if you are a traumatized little kid like me, and your mother ignored you as a child, or they didn't give you enough validation, now you're afraid of talking to people, you are the type of person who needs to work on this the most. And you know, I have a lot of bullshit trauma, and I was afraid of talking to people for a long time, and I'm very grateful of my trauma. You probably never heard one person say this out loud. I am grateful for my trauma. I am grateful that I have been such a socially awkward kid because I've been bullied. My parents barely showed me affection and like validation as a little kid. So I grew up being a little bit awkward around people, always seeking validation in the most stupid ways, always trying to be the clown of the group. And the only real way of mending this, of fixing this trauma, is by doing hard things. So for example, let's say you're at the gym or you're outside and you see a cute girl and you want to approach her. You say, oh fuck, this girl is very cute, I want to talk to her. But you're afraid. You're thinking, oh, she's going to think I'm a creep, she's going to like reject me or something. That's one. You are afraid of rejection. Again, I feel like more people like well, actually a lot of people are susceptible to this. This is a very common thing, common fear amongst people, even in girls, right? If you're a red pill alpha male like I am, you've probably been researching like cold approaching and, you know, pickup artists, you know, trying to normalize starting a conversation with a random girl, because naturally I'm a man and I like girls. You know, I'm not fucking asexual. If you think this is toxic, but bro, fuck off. Even if you don't agree with me or you don't want to date right now or something, doing it is still very useful because you are still afraid, right? The people who say, oh, I don't want to approach women because I just don't interested. You know, you look at that woman that you like, you've been glancing at her and you think, oh, she's not even that attractive, but you want to talk to her. She is. You like her. But you are coping, you're coming up with these excuses. And every time you go through a situation like this where you let your fear kind of rule over your own brain, you become a little bitch. You become a more fearful and weak person, and you become so disappointed in yourself until you reach a point. And unfortunately, I've reached this point before. And it's not the point of feeling the fear. Feeling the fear is a healthy thing. You should be feeling fear a lot of the times. Every fucking day, you should be feeling fear. The unhealthy thing is not feeling any fear at all. It's when somebody says, I'm not afraid of anything. That person is not only lying, but that person is so disconnected from his own soul, from their own deep desires, to a point where they don't even approach the fear anymore. They don't even seek the fear. You reach a point where, imagine you look at that woman on the street. I remember seeing this meme on the internet. I guess it was a bit of a black pill meme. It was a person saying, when you see that cute girl in the gym, but you don't even bother anymore and you don't even bother to look at her or something. So like you're in too deep in your own shit, in your own fear, that you don't even think, oh, I'm afraid. You think, I'm not the type of person who does this. You turn yourself into the ultimate pussy because you don't want to feel a little bit uncomfortable. When I was younger and I discovered that you can actually go up to a woman and speak to her and like ask for her number or give her a compliment and that everything would be fine and the world isn't gonna crumble or anything, I went into full-on autistic mode and I started to read a fuck ton of books on approaching women. I'm actually kind of embarrassed to say this. When I was 16, 17, I read like 7 books on seduction and approaching women. I watched a fuck ton of videos. And I was looking for something, and this is something very interesting. Pay attention here, because if you're a healthy person, if you're developing yourself in some way, if you're in self-improvement, you're reading books, you are trying to achieve something in life, and especially when it comes to facing your fears, so doing something like social maxing, you're watching all of this content, which is probably the reason why you clicked on this video. You're watching all of this content trying to find the right combination of words that you want to hear. You are expecting to hear the author of that book or the creator of that video to tell you, here is the way that will make you feel safe and comfortable. That's what you want to hear. That's why you're reading so many books on this shit. That's why you're watching so many fitness videos and you haven't even gotten into the gym, because you're trying to make it more like easy, and let's try to make it less intimidating. Which, I mean, I think this is a very good first step, because at the very least you're saying, okay, I'm afraid of doing this, I'm scared. Because you could be saying, why bother? I'm not the type of person that does that shit. I'm just gonna get cocked by some other random guy who's gonna approach that girl for me, you know? So let me actually go right now through the list of common fears. So number one is fear of failure. I guess this could be extrapolated to plenty of things. Failing in business, you want to make a YouTube channel or an online business and you're afraid that it's going to fail, so you don't even bother trying. Or you want to start an interaction or a friendship with someone, but it turns out you're awkward as fuck and the person doesn't want you back. And if you want to do social maxing or you want to approach girls or something, you don't need to read 100 books like I did, because you know exactly what you should be doing. You know exactly what to do, like David Goggins said. You don't need to wait until you hear the magic words, hey, here's how to do it the easy way, where you're not going to feel any fear and everything's going to be perfect. If anything, I think you should be doing things that give you fear. Not in spite of the fear, but because of it. You know, because the thing is hard and you don't want to do it, so for me that's enough reason to do it. Because you're constantly challenging your limits. There was this quote from Epictetus, I think. It was something like, pity the man who never had an opponent because he never got to see his full potential, what he was capable of. This is also a good one from Alan Watts. Man suffers only because he takes seriously what the gods made for fun. I think we just care too much, man. I think we all should be doing fucking retard maxing. Then we have fear of success. And honestly, if you ask me, bro, you can call me an alpha male, you can call me toxic, whatever. But I think we get better at facing these fears when we have higher levels of testosterone. Because as I said, testosterone makes these challenges, especially social challenges, feel good. So it's not that they become easier. You're still going to feel fear. But it's going to feel in your mind like it's higher ROI. I'm telling you this because a few weeks ago I started taking TRT, high hormone testosterone. Just a low dose, nothing crazy. But holy shit, have I been feeling it. The level of motivation that I have for doing hard things and things that are more like, that otherwise would kind of make me shit my pants is way higher. So, I can tell you a little bit how it feels. It's not that you don't feel the fear anymore. It just becomes a no-brainer to not do the thing. Imagine I ask you right now, you have to walk from the rooftop of a building across another rooftop through like a narrow plank. You could die. If you fall, you fucking die, and it's all over, right? So you probably don't. If I tell you, hey, do that for $20, you're probably not gonna do it, right? Because it's very low return on investment. But what if I tell you? Instead, I'm gonna give you $1 billion, or I don't know, your mother is on the other side of the rooftop, and you need to go and save her. Or you both die or something. It suddenly becomes like, okay, a no-brainer. You just gotta do it. And I think when it comes to having testosterone, this is kind of what it, I don't make the fucking rules. This is literally how it works. Go ask fucking Andrew Huberman. Oh, the hypothalamus has testosterone androgen receptors. So yeah, call me an alpha male, but I'm so happy. I genuinely feel more fulfilled, even to like a spiritual level, when I'm facing my fears like this. For the longest time, you have no idea how shit, or you probably do, honestly, how shit of an experience it is, how shit of a life it is to live through the world being a spectator. You can go through life in two ways. Either you're like a passive viewer, like an spectator in your own life. You're literally an NPC, or you are a creator. So if you're an spectator, what's going to happen is that you're going to go through life thinking that everything is already set in stone. You're going to think that everything is just luck. If something good happens to you, okay, that's good luck. If something bad happens to you, oh, that's bad luck. If I have a girlfriend, it's because I'm lucky. Oh, I'm so lucky to have you, whatever. Not because you did it, not because, I don't know, you did a series of steps that will get you there. If you have a lot of money, I'm just very lucky. No, it's not about, winning the lottery all of a sudden. I have a shitty job because I'm unlucky. Ideally, you should be living life as a creator instead, knowing that everything that happens in your life is your responsibility, for the good and for the bad, and, owning up to whatever shit happens in your life. Because that's when you become truly fulfilled. Somebody who has depression is not somebody who thinks like this, who has the creator mindset. And I'm gonna sound like a bit of an asshole, because someone who has depression, especially men who have depression, they think, oh, stuff happens to me. The universe is punishing me or something. This situation happened to me. everything is just about luck. And you know, these people think that they can't control anything. But when you grow a pair of balls, you realize that having depression is optional as a man. Girls are more emotional and they rely more on other people. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just like the difference in like feminine energy and masculine energy. And trust me, no one, not a fucking soul, no girls, no other men are going to respect a man that doesn't take responsibility for his own life. That is just blaming his own shit on the universe, and that is not the creator and the owner of his own life, you know? That is always expecting daddy to come and tell them what to do. That's the type of people who get depression. Another one is fear of responsibility, which is the thing I just talked about. And I have another like 10 points here on the list, but I think you already get the point. You should not be looking at your fear and thinking, okay, how can I make the fear go away? How can I make it less strong? You should be looking at yourself instead and thinking, okay, how can I be a better man? How can I be stronger? How can I be brave? Being brave is not about not feeling fear. It only counts if the fear is involved. If there is no fear involved, that's not bravery. So you should be striving towards being a stronger and brave man instead. Just like John Kennedy said in Black Ops 1.
Any last words, Mr. President?
Yes, Jack. Any superlative words of inspiration for our humble troops?
Do not pray for easy lives, my friends. Pray to be stronger men.
Anyways, that's all for the video. If you wanna ignore everything that I said and read 100 books on like facing your fears and everything, here are some really good books that I like. I think they can be useful for brainwashing yourself into like not thinking is a big deal. Just remember the quote that I just read you. Man suffers only because he takes seriously what the gods made for fun. Fucking love that quote.